is up, RotoGrinders? Welcome. It is the People's Show. The People's Show is back. Reunited. You got us for the next hour and 10 minutes till we yield to crunch time. Myself, Dean Chabelson, Dean 78904. If you want to get all technical, we have Tasteful Tides. Tim, single entry, 3 entry max specialist, cash game specialist. And of course, we got Bobby Gomes, former $1 million winner, back from his trip to Maine. Bobby looking like I made this reference. I don't know if either one of you guys caught it. I didn't even watch the show, but it just the mustache is spectacular, by the way. Yeah, my name is Earl. You watched that Jason Lee, I believe. Yeah, it is, and this is not an insult, Bobby. It is spectacular. It is incredible. I have a lot of mustache envy over here. Welcome back. It's been a while. I think it's been a while since we've actually done a show together.
Yeah, I've been August is a big vacation month. Now I got 2 kids, Can't be here all the time, but got to take some breaks, We grind this all pretty much all year. So yeah, I happy to be back, and nice to see you and Tim. I'm representing Maine with my mustache because facial hair is a must in Maine. And I think that Mainers, being that now I was in Maine for a week and a half, I think that Mainers rock mustaches, and Tim does not have one. So I'll represent for Maine. Broccoli Boy probably has one. A bunch of people in chat from Maine maybe have them, but yeah, I don't know. Nice to be here. Nice to see you, Dean, as always. I know TJ's on the up and coming. We just hired Neil. Seat's getting a little hot for you, but happy to be by your side.
TJ will be coming on later on. I believe he's going to be playing the role of Roth. By the way, Roth is he's out tonight. He is doing weather stuff, obviously, but he's on fire. He's scalding in the squad rides. I believe he's got 5 in a row, 5 winners in a row for squad rides. If you guys have been following that, so shout out to Roth. Yeah, TJ, SquirrelPatrol, Derek Hardy coming up in about an hour and 10 minutes. I think Squirrel just got back from Cape Town, if I'm not mistaken. So everybody's taking a vacation before NFL season. There it is. Producer Steve running the money, throwing it up on the board for the people. If we're not savvy enough to jump in the Discord and check out the squad ride, it is Beer Makers fan pumping up Corey Seager to get over 1.5 total bases. That is today's squad ride pick. Yesterday was the Polar Bear Alonso. He banged in a double. No sweat there. All right. Yeah. So hour and 10 minutes. You guys tell me, man. This is the weirdest slate. I've done a lot of digging in, trying to find angles, boys. And I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Tim. 13 gamer. Oh, we must have a lot of stuff we love. Well, I got nothing. I like some of the pitchers. I don't really like any stack. I like some of the stacks to some degree, but I wouldn't say love. I'll say like. I like some of them. Not one team has a total above 5. Weather today, it's not scalding anywhere. It's 70s basically. Winds blowing in Chicago. It's just a big blob of meh. Maybe you could tell me differently, Tim. I'm curious where you're at as far as this slate. Of course, you have a couple stud pitchers in pretty good spots taking the mound. But I'm going to throw it to you, Tim. You tell me. Is there something I'm missing? Do you kind of feel the same? I wonder if chat feels the same. Chat, hit that like button. Yeah, caress the like button as you're jumping aboard. Subscribe so you know we go live. And when NFL stuff about 15, 16 days away from opening night. Looking forward to that. Of course, we're going to have a ton of NFL content very, very soon. Yeah, King Rana in chat saying it's a nasty slate. It feels so much smaller than 13 games. Tim, we haven't discussed this. Do you feel the same? Is there stuff you like or love?
I think there's a lot of pitchers that you can love tonight in GPP. I think the pitching slate is really, really strong. It's the hitting that I'm really having a tough time breaking down what my favorite is. But pitching, I mean, there are like 5, 6, maybe 7 options that you could go. Really, really, really strong pitching, in my opinion. I think Cole Reagans is good chalk. That's not a hot take, obviously. I think after that, though, you get to the Ray, Wheeler, Bradford, Heel, Pavetta, some of these other guys. I think they're in really, really good spots, and I think they could end up being slate winners. And I really can't decide who my SP2 is going to be in single entry or in cash games, but other than Cole Reagans. But I think pitching is really strong tonight. I think this is a really good night to spread out your exposures too, just overall from a macro perspective. whether it be with pitching and whether it be with stacks.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about Robbie Ray, and of course, Robbie Ray stung us all 5 days ago, or a lot of us who were on Robbie Ray chalk, and I don't think he made it out of the first inning, in part because I think he gave up one hit. I think he gave up a home run, like walked like 4 or 5 dudes, and his pitch count was like close to 40, and that's that. And it's like, oh, well, let's just ignore him. But he's at home, and he's facing the White Sox, and theoretically, he's got one of the biggest ceilings in the slate, if not the biggest. He's right there. Reagan's, Ray, Wheeler, as far as ownership, Reagan's 39%, Ray 31%, Wheeler 24%. By the way, side notes in chat, Mr. Richard said this Maynard has no mustache. Bobby, you were calling out. You were kind of throwing some shade at Tim. Are you saying Tim doesn't have a mustache? Isn't it like all-encompassing? If you have a beard, you have a mustache, right? I think. You have everything.
No, I think Maine people like wear flannel shirts and should have mustaches and probably carry around an axe.
Well, he's 1 for 2. I don't see. Is there an accent somewhere in your back pocket, Tim?
I have one downstairs, a really nice one actually. I'll bring it up next show.
I like.
How often does it get used?
Quite a bit.
No way. There's no way.
I live in Maine. I have a fireplace, definitely.
And you chop your own wood?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
You're like a real man.
I'll take a video.
Maybe you would chop because you don't like fun, so you would chop wood.
Exactly.
Is that not fun? I can see
it's not very. It's not very fun. It's not that
it's
fun.
Hard labor, Dean. Something you know nothing about. Hard labor,
especially when it's snowing.
At one of the RG parties years ago, we did that axe throwing thing, and I took that up pretty quickly. I threw like a bullseye, like in my third. I'm surprised those places are still in business because how have disasters not happened? Maybe we're just not reading about it in the news. But they serve alcohol too. People are wearing open toes. It's a disaster waiting to happen. But that was a good time for sure. Bobby, they're saying you look like the dodgeball version of Ben Stiller. Producers team threw it up. I feel like you look a little bit more like if we're gonna go Ben Stiller, the Billy Madison version of Ben Stiller, where he's like working in the nursing house. Let's see if we can get that Gilmore.
One. Happy Gilmore.
Oh, is that Happy Gilmore? I get those two confused. That's right. Yeah, you're right. It is Happy Gilmore. But did you have a Moxie? That's the other important thing we have to ask. Yeah, that's the rule. They'll pull you over if you've never had a Moxie. If you're in Maine more like
never had that. I don't know what that is.
Oh, Tim, you didn't give him the speech?
I've heard the speech.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's a Maine thing.
Well, no, it's like the most main thing there is. Like it's big. I don't want to speak out of turn.
Not where I was. I didn't see anyone with Moxies. No one was drinking Moxies.
See, Bobby went to a place that's really just Massachusetts. That's not real Maine. Yeah,
okay.
That's not real. He didn't go to real Maine.
Okay. Yeah. He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to. I don't know if it's because he's slumming it, but I have no idea what the right term would be. But I've never been to Maine. I one of these days I'm gonna hang out, Tim. I'm gonna crash.
Why would you leave Florida to go to Maine?
Because Tim's there. Me and Tim will hang out. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll play.
Dean, you would hate where I live so much. It would be kind of amusing. It would be kind of amusing for me.
Everything's the same when you're inside. It's all the same.
That's true.
Right?
I do have a couple big screen TVs. We can watch a lot of sports. That's a good point. Yeah.
Mr. Richard saying Moxie is the worst soda on earth. Yeah, they're asking what Moxie was, and it's super specific to I guess just the Maine area. Yeah, Bobby, your thoughts as far as pitching tonight. I don't know if you were maybe you were on vacation. I don't know how much you get to play on vacation. Maybe you were spared the Robbie Ray night where he was an absolute disaster. But he's back. And theoretically you could still ignore him, and the Robbie Ray rule is in effect. He's gonna be popular again, I think. Can you rank amongst the top 3? Reagan's taking on the Angels. Of course, those reverse splits of Reagan's. Wheeler taking on the Braves. The Braves, another injury. They just got Harris back, but now they lost Austin Riley. We're projecting 6 righties for Wheeler to face. Do we officially have the lineup? I think it is. So we got Harris, Olsen, Kelnick. Yeah, so there are 6 righties. Wheeler's got he's been stellar, like shutting down power against righties. 30% K rate against righties as well. This Atlanta matchup, is not nearly as scary as it once was. Obviously, the absence of Riley, the absence of Albies, the absence of Acuna. Basically 3 good hitters. Loreno's batting second. Do you have them ranked? Because they're basically the same as far as ownership. How do you feel about those top 3, Bobby?
Far and away Wheeler for me. I just think Wheeler's probably the best play. I wrote up Reagans and Ray. I think Reagans would be number 2. He is reverse splitsy. The Angels do hit lefties. I would probably have some Angels, but like I said, he's reverse splitsy. So I don't love the Angels, but in 150 max, I'd definitely consider having some stacks there. And then Ray would probably be 3 for me, just the Robbie Ray experience. As we all know, if you've been playing DFS for the majority of his career, it can be a wild one. I know he gets the White Sox. I would max 1 of Ray and Reagans because I think they're going to get a ton of ownership and then just get way overrun Wheeler. I think that's the best route, in my opinion.
We do have an Angels lineup, by the way. The Angels are rolling out 8 righties, 1 lefty, Chanel, and the big dramatic split for Reagans this year, 30.9% strikeouts versus righties as a lefty, reverse splitsy, 20.7 versus lefty. So basically, we're looking at really, really strong Ks. Now, it's a pretty contact-heavy lineup, right? Ohapi, 28% as far as Ks. Jack Lopez at 50%, but that's a small sample. That has to go down. 22.9% collectively. Dwayne in chat saying Reagans, you can get it at 3-1, 9+ strikeouts. The alt line. I've not looked into that, but my book, Hard Rock, the only book I have here in Florida, they cut it off at 7. They go in 3 5s and 7s. That's how they do their alt stuff, which is kind of annoying. So I can't even dig into the 9K stuff, but I think that's kind of interesting. I have not looked and seen what the odds are. Do we like that, Tim? 3-1 odds on Reagan striking out 9?
It probably is not the best math play, but I don't hate that.
Yeah, he's probably projected for around 7 as a median. Let's see, 6 maybe. I'm going to say 6.79. How does that sound as a median number for strikeouts? Does that work for you? We disagree?
Yeah, I'm looking at what he's projected. So
okay, I'd say a little bit. I think 6.5 is the official number, but you got to pay a lot of juice on the over, so I don't necessarily love that. Reagans, Ray, Wheeler. I'm gonna pay the iron price. I'm gonna probably get 2 of these guys in basically every lineup I make, because we'll talk about it later. There's no bats that I feel like I absolutely have to have. Sure, I love Shohei Ohtani, I love Judge, I love all the big boys there, but bats are less predictive than arms. There's really no bat that's like in this incredible spot, like must-have spot that I'm frightened that I'm gonna fade it. It's a bat. Who cares? I get 4 or 5 at bats. Wonky stuff happens all the time to the best hitters in the best spots. So I'm just going to spend up on Reagans, Ray, and Wheeler. Probably have 2 of those guys in my main lineup, in every lineup I make. I think that's what I'm doing. Beyond that, Tim, did I give you enough time, by the way, to find the projection, the median projection for Reagans as far as the strikeouts?
In the bat, Reagans is 6.88.
Ooh, did I just win both showcase showdowns? That was really close.
Yeah,
I think I was close.
Yeah, and Ray is 6.72.
Dean loves to toot his own horn.
Well, no, it was right there. I mean, as a good partner, you would have tooted it for me, so I didn't have to look like this big egomaniac. But instead, you called me out for looking like an egomaniac, and you bring attention to it.
Maybe I'm coming for that seat, Dean. Maybe I'm coming for that seat.
Do you want to host the rest of the show? You're
currently
welcome to.
A lot of people in line currently.
You could try out. You want to try out? You could host today.
I'll save my talents for another day, Dean.
That would be fun. We'll pull the switcheroo one of these days. There's
no way we're doing that, by the way. That's complete. That's never happening.
Oh, come on. What, like last day of the season?
There's no way. I have 0 hosting skills.
All right. Tim, it's going to be you. How about, you okay with that, Tim?
That's fine.
There you go. Look at that. Tim's a trooper. It'll be fun, some might even say. So beyond these 3, Tim, how much are you getting to? Next up, Cody Bradford. The drop feels pretty significant. He's fine, I suppose. It looks like he's mostly stretched out. By the way, Wheeler throws the second most pitches per start, only behind Hunter Green. Reagans is like 3rd. So like those are like the 2 best pitchers on the slate by far as their leash throughout the season. Shane Baz in Oakland, Jose Barrios for Cincinnati, like Polanco, Luis Heel, who's just, wild strikeouts, but he's facing Cleveland, who doesn't strike out. I don't think any of this stuff is necessary, Tim, but certainly somebody's going to come out of this and be good. Where are you at as far as the next tier, and how much are you getting to it, and how much you're prioritizing two of Reagan's, Ray, and Wheeler?
I mean, I'm definitely prioritizing Reagan's 100%. The next best guy is Cody Bradford going up against the Pirates. I don't mind. I like Shane Baz more than Pivetta. I don't mind like a Joey Estes, who's really, really cheap. This Rays team is just so terrible. I feel bad for like recommending Rays last night, like Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe. They were absolutely awful. I think
they're in my main
Estes,
lineup. I was
mine too. Yeah, mine too. It was just so stupid of me. But anyway, I don't mind Joey Estes at 6,300. I like Shane Baz quite a bit, even though he kind of has a shorter leash. But the matchup is fantastic, and I even don't mind Javier Assad. Great matchup and great pitching environment. He should be relatively low owned as well. So there's a lot of guys here that are cheap that I really, really like.
That's the one I was looking at, Assad, and I was trying to make him happen, but he's not very good. But like you said, the matchup versus Detroit is awesome, and that's the one weather note I think we have today. It's the wind blowing in Chicago. We've had the pitchers change a couple times there in Detroit. I think it's Alex Faedo is now the opener. I don't know. Brisky's coming after. I'm not certain what they're going to be throwing out there. But like Assad versus Faedo, a 7.5 total. It's cold. It's 66 degrees there. Pulling up Weather Edge now. And let me see if this has changed since the show has started. 173 games. Big sample. Wind blowing in 9 miles per hour. A hit in home runs at 28%. A hit in runs at 12.5%. So, I just wish he was a little bit cheaper, Assad, and I wish he had a little longer leash. I'm wishing a lot of things, but it's not the worst idea. I might play him like, obviously if I want to load up on a stack, I need an extra bat or two. Sure. 6'9". Again, I wish he was a little bit cheaper.
He's projected. He's projected for 89 pitches. That's a decent leash for under 7K.
Yeah, I saw that, but then I was looking at his starts, just kind of doing the old game log stuff. 85 last start and 4 2/3, and he pitched really well. He was pitching. He wasn't getting these strikeouts. He was getting outs. It seems like they have a really quick hook for him. Before that, 4 innings, 75 pitches. Before that, 4 innings, 97 pitches. 6 innings, 81. It's 76 before that, 44. Even if he's pitching like okay, he's not really getting strikeouts, and you're begging for 5 or 6 innings. But I guess it's all kind of built into the price. So is he somebody you'll play in your main lineup, or is this somebody possibly, how many lineups do you have to make until you get to Assad?
I mean, for me personally, only like probably 10 to get to one Assad. I am considering Shane Baz in my primary lineup. I'm also considering Cody Bradford as well. If I go lower than Wheeler and Ray.
Kirkwood in chat trolling us. Glad to see Tim taking accountability for the Rays yesterday. Refreshing. Other touts would never, especially ones that rhyme with me.
I wouldn't, for sure. I wouldn't take.
I literally just said that I played Tampa too, and it was a disaster. Like I don't know if he typed all that before I took accountability myself, but I did. Unless maybe it's somebody named I don't know, Gene. Is there a tout named Gene that I'm not aware of? Is that what he's suggesting? Gene out there, come on, take some accountability. Bobby, you have any favorites amongst these this nonsense? Bradford, Baz, Luis Heel. Nobody's going to play. Theoretically, he's got an upside with his strikeout ability. It's just not the best matchup to get there. But I'm curious where you're at as far as the names. So somebody was asking about Martin Perez in chat. Just no upside in him unless he goes like 7 or 8 innings, I suppose. Spires was thrown out there. Keller was thrown out there. I can't imagine playing these guys. But again, you probably play more lineups than I do.
Baz and Ober, I think, are standing out. But I will say this, like, I think Luis Hill, like, obviously Cleveland doesn't strike out, and he's got a hitter's umpire, but he's at 9K, and Robbie Ray's at 8.6, and he's going to be very chalky. Cole Reagans is at 9.5. Zach Wheeler's at 9.3. Like, getting over on Hill, I think, makes a good bit of sense. Cody Bradford, I'm fine with. But then, and maybe Nick Pivetta. I don't know if I could go the Spires route. It is the Blue Jays, though, and we know they're gutless. So, yeah, and 150.
We don't know that because Kirkwood hasn't updated his power rankings like in 2 months. Like if he's gonna throw shade, I don't even know why he's even the guy that we go to for gutless power rankings because he's basically given up in the bit. I haven't seen an update in 3 months. I keep hitting refresh and I'm getting nothing. But go ahead, continue.
Yeah, that would be pretty much my pool for 150. I do think Estes and Assad are intriguing, and I wasn't really thinking to play them, but as Tim kind of broke it down, Estes at 6.3, I think that's a fine price for him. Assad with the weather in Chicago, I think it makes a good bit of sense as well. So those two I'm going to try to work in here as we kind of move through everything.
Can I break this up for a second and ask a best ball question? Do you mind? I know.
I've been playing a ton of I've been in a lot of the best ball streets, so I'm your guy. I could be the influencer, you know.
Well, Tim's right here too. We're all best ball influencers.
He's not really an influencer though in best ball. He's not as esteemed as myself, I would say.
Oh, wow. You were calling me out for being. What were you calling me out for before about having an arrogance and just a me? But okay. I'm in my friends and family home version of a best ball. It's a slow draft, right?
You're basically you're a professional like DFS best ball influencer, and you're playing with your friends and family.
Well,
like we know who's going to win, right?
No, there's variance. Injuries are a thing, right? It's mostly I know 3 guys and they're all Canadians. Otherwise,
if you don't finish in the top 3, I would be very surprised. Just throwing it out there.
I hope so. I had the first pick. I picked CMC on the turn. I got London and Collins. So now I have the 4-5. Bobby, and like the players that are still out there, Metcalf is still out there. I want to get McBride, I think, and Rice is still right there. Which have the people not seen the rise of Rice?
Is Tank Dell there? Is Tank Dell there?
I'm not loving that he's not playing in 2 wide receiver sets right now. He is there.
It's right now, Dean.
I'm kind of falling off Dell a little bit.
His quarterback said he was a top 3 receiver in the league. It's for right now.
Well, his coordinator says he's the number 3 receiver on his team. Just
his coordinator gets him. His coordinator gets him the ball, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like
Very
Dell
sharp
too.
coordinator, by the way. What's his name?
I like
Bobby
Slowick.
Bobby Slowick is the coordinator in Texas.
You got your hand in the dirt, man. I think I like Rice more though. I think I like Rice more than Tim. You want to break the tie?
What were the 2 players?
Thanks for joining the show. Rice versus Tank Dell, or maybe the chat will let me know which one of those 2 should I take.
I'd go Rice.
I'm just falling in love with Kansas City, and it seems like he's not going to get suspended. And the injury to Hollywood, and Mahomes is going to throw for 50 touchdowns. Yeah, he's going to be spectacular.
Tank Dell is currently my highest owned player on both sites, Underdog and DraftKings. He's one of mine
as well. Devin saying just wait for Worthy. I can't read this room. My quarterbacks are going like 15 overall. It's a wild card. These people, they don't play by the rules. So I'm still trying to feel out where we should go.
So I was trying to get the full Houston stack, and I was talking about it. I got it earlier, but the other day I was doing it too, and I had like Diggs, I had Collins, Diggs, and Dell, and then someone took Stroud, and I was like, "Oh, I hate you," and I literally just stopped drafting.
Well, there you go. All right, back to baseball. Our apologies again. The first pit stop for an hour and a half plus. Crunch time coming in 40 minutes or so. You got Derek Carty, you have SquirrelPatrol, 2 of the absolute best in the business. TJ Zwarych, I believe, is playing the role of Kevin Roth and hosting. Let's get those likes up. I imagine TJ. I don't want to be presumptuous. I imagine he's going to have some Spidey bombs for the people. So do hit that like button, subscribe. Of course, we're going to have some taters. Tim, you got some taters for the people on layaway?
Not yet. I'm going to look into it. Well,
you can't. Could you just fake it for the sake of getting the likes? And I don't want to beg and grovel. Bobby, you got some Bobby bombs, hopefully?
J Rim. After I said I liked Luis Hill,
Well,
but I like J Rim tonight. I don't know what the odds are. He's going deep.
all right. You didn't have to give it right now, but the people like it. I thought
I
just want to know if
I'm
they're
a
on
man of the
layaway.
people, Dean. I have to give it out right away.
Fair enough. I'm seeing some Tyler Anderson's being thrown out in chat. Tyler Anderson strikeouts. I mean, finally, it took 4 months, but the regressor monster finally found Tyler Anderson. These are Davis Martin, 2 last names. Derek is saying Stevie liked him on the Morning Grind podcast. By the way, little synergy. Guess who's going to be on the Morning Grind podcast tonight or tomorrow, depending on when you listen to it? Me.
Wow. I'm shocked.
He did it again.
How do I make this about myself?
This show has got it. He's toot.
Yeah, toot. We got to get a toot sound effect, Steve. I don't know if we can work on that. I don't know if that's available. If we have a soundboard, but yeah, tooting my horn for sure. I don't know what the toot is. Like, I'm going to be on the show. Do check it out on the Morning Grind.
I thought Stevie
channel.
banned you like weeks ago.
Yeah, well, we have this love-hate thing, I think. And I also say what his game, I say one of his questions was stupid. I don't think he loved that I said that.
No, he's the type of person who's like still mad about that from whenever you said it.
I think he's fine. I hope he's fine. We'll discuss.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't know him personally, but I could see him maybe like, woke up this morning, crumpled up a piece of paper.
Not the kind of guy who went upset. I don't want to upset
He's
Stevie.
definitely not the kind of guy who went upset.
No, I definitely would not do that intentionally. Trying to find some more names in chat. Like, there's 26 pitchers taking the bump, but like there's so many that are not that interesting and so many just kind of in the middle that like are acceptable, right, Tim? Like, yeah, if you want to play Jose Barrios, go ahead. Yeah, good luck. I'm not saying it's a terrible idea. I'm probably not going to do it. Bailey Ober, same deal. Joey Estes, you mentioned him as a cheapie. We talked about Assad. Pavetta, I'm probably not going there. Fetty. It's just a bunch of nonsense. I'll tell you who I'm definitely not playing is Walker Buehler. I think we're attacking Walker Buehler. Tim, is there anybody we missed? Anybody you want to highlight as far as pitchers? Again, a slew of pitchers, but not a lot to talk glowingly about.
Yeah, I mean, I really think there's about 10 pitchers I'd have in my pool if I was building out 150. Stevie's on top of Davis Martin. I don't mind that. I prefer Estes and Baz as my cheapies, but I don't mind. I don't mind Davis Martin. But he would definitely fall to the bottom for me in terms of exposure in a 150 set. I definitely don't have interest in Walker Buehler. Definitely don't have interest in Matt Boyd at all. Really, any of these other cheap guys, I really don't have interest in.
Yeah, Jose just asked about Boyd. I don't like Boyd either.
No, I really don't think you should play Boyd today. I really don't.
He looked good in his first start and forever. I guess that was his first start of the season, but it just doesn't seem like a great spot for him. AJ is saying in chat that I've lost my marbles. Is he saying just today or is it retroactive to like months ago? When did he actually identify that? Goomba is saying Martin is the best play on the slates. There's a Martin fan.
If Stevie is on board with Martin, the 2 last names, fellow, I might have some interest. Stevie, like I said, I don't want to get Stevie upset, and he knows his pitching. Like, he grinded plate IQ. He probably knows all the stats. Davis Martin, maybe you want to get some exposure. All I'm saying.
Are people playing? Look at the bat suit enough, but like I basically never play San Fran. I think San Fran's going to get played. Of course, like whatever. It's a 13-game slate. Just kind of play the offenses you like, and don't worry too much about ownership. But like I think people are going to play San Fran today. I don't expect to be one of those people for the record, and outside of maybe like a one-off or something like that. Matt Chapman, but I'm probably not doing that as a one-off. Fine, but probably not the way I build today. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with it. Too many walks in a small sample. 13% walks is kind of egregious. I did round up. It's 12.8%. It's higher than Luis Hill, who's down to 11.9%. The Ks are okay at 22%. The ballpark, of course, is cavernous and appealing. Goombas is telling the prop was plus 190 over 5.5.
What was it?
Plus 190, 5.5 on the over.
For who?
No, that's for Davis.
For Martin.
Yeah.
For Davis Martin. Yeah.
If people are playing San Francisco stacks, I will definitely be playing some Davis Martin because they don't steal any bases. They're just an awful team to stack. They're going to be swapping guys in and out. I just would have, I don't know, the San Fran stack seems like a very bad play.
I think Fitzgerald's going to be really popular. Like he's like the one main guy on San Fran. And they do a little bit more pinch hit stuff when they face a lefty, from the start. But yeah, there's Grant McRae, the cheap prospect. No lineup just yet, but yeah, it's just not a very good lineup. And like you said, if a lefty comes in, maybe Wade goes away. And the ballpark, of course, stinks. Like, when does San Fran ever break the slate? I'm sure it's happened on record since Barry Bonds, but feels like it's been a while. Okay. I have really nothing else as far as pitchers. Tim, you got anything else as far as pitchers?
No, I think we broke it down pretty well.
Okay. Bobby, anything else you want to mention? I'm trying to see if the chat has anything as far as pitchers.
I've seen a couple of people wanting to know about Montas. I don't really like that much. Far better plays in the same price range, in my opinion. Really, that's the only other name I've seen mentioned.
Estes, by the way, I know you mentioned him. Lowest K rate on the slate, 17.9%, but he's got a positive matchup against Tampa. And it's funny, somebody else said, I think it was Shannon, it was in chat talking about what's worse, the Seattle bats or the completely washed Bueller. And that's one of the conversations I had today, and I was talking about in the survey. I'm kind of on the Seattle side, and they made, Gavin Stone look like Paul Skeens last night. I think he struck out 9 or 10 or something like that. Way too many. Pavetta is getting thrown out there in chats. I mean, this Houston lineup, obviously not as daunting as you want it to be. There's still no Bregman. There's still no Tucker. It's basically Altuve, Alvarez, kind of a bunch of guys. What do you got, Tim? You're going to say something.
Yeah, Pavetta at least has a ceiling. He does have the ability to get a high strikeout game. It's not a very good matchup, but I don't mind Pavetta in large field GPP.
All right. Bobby, you got anything else to add here as far as pitchers, or shall we get to our stacks?
No, let's get to stacks. I know you picked another one of your lists.
Well, we were kind of bouncing some ideas around, and then
you were bouncing ideas around. Me and Tim were in the chat.
Well, I was the only one trying to get to the goal of forming a board, which is something we got to do. I'll go ahead and throw it out to the chat, and I broke my rule. I'll explain why in a second. You know how like TJ broke the rule where he ranked it 1 through 5, like these are the 5 best, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. 1's great, 5's terrible, but because of the slate, the old nature of the slate, there's really no stack that's amazing, and there's no stack that's terrible. So I think any team is playable, even the White Sox in San Fran, just because of Robbie Ray and his high variance. Like, I'm not saying it's going to get there. Most of the time, you're going to lose no matter what stack you pick, but that's kind of like I'm explaining my board before I get to it. I'll have the chat throw out their suggestions. Today's category is adult cartoons. So like not like Tom and Jerry or whatever. I guess if you want to watch that as an adult, I suppose it's an adult cartoon. But yeah, so adult cartoons. I did run this by you guys. I didn't really have any hot takes, and like again, the rankings, just like these are all 5 good ones, I think. Shannon is throwing out Archer. I've only seen like an episode or 2 of Archer. I know people like that. I thought it was fine. I didn't continue for whatever reason. Rick and Morty is not at the top. That's what producer Steve said. Well, I know Rick and Morty. I forgot about Beavis and Butthead. That was a mistake. Cowboy.
Oh, wow.
Well, mistakes were made. Well, you're making this great reaction. Like, you didn't say, hey, what about Beavis and Butthead?
It's your listing. Your list.
Well, it's awfully easy just to sit on the sidelines and complain and say what's wrong. Producer Steve chiming in saying Futurama. It's fun. It's a fun show. Nope. Bob's Burgers. No, did not get the Bob's Burgers, but I can see if that's what you want to tout. You got Bobby. Have you seen the list, or you've not seen the list? I'm not sure.
I haven't seen the list. I was actually thinking today, though, I wanted to start a food truck called Bob's Burritos. It's interesting that Bob's.
Can you make burritos?
Yeah, I got some talents, Dean, outside of whatever it is that we're doing.
But like elite burritos, I'm gonna go to your truck. Like,
yeah, why not?
You know a guy named Bob, or are you just gonna pretend you're Bob?
I'm gonna pretend I'm
Bob.
In the truck? No, I'd hire someone. I don't do any work. No hard labor for me.
Yeah, this is why you don't have an axe next to your feet right now, like Tim does. All right. Yeah, South Park being thrown out there. Eon Flux. I know that was a TV show. Is it called Invincibles? Is that the show on Amazon that people love? I haven't quite got to that one, but that's supposedly a good adult cartoon. But let's go ahead and Boondocks. I'm being told in chats. I didn't get what's the one with the fry and the shake? Is it called Fry and Shake for their art? What's the name of that cartoon? Is it actually called Fry and Shake?
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
There it is. But that's their names, right? Aren't their names Fry and Shake?
Fry, Shake, and Meat Wad.
Yeah.
I've never heard it. I've never heard of any of these. It's crazy.
You've never heard of The Simpsons?
No.
You get the board?
We talked about The Simpsons, Dean.
Oh, okay. But like the board has been revealed. I don't know if you realize if
you ever heard of South Park, Dean?
Oh, definitely. The top three I have. Just the other two I have.
Yeah, the other two I have no idea what they are. I'm just totally lost.
I'm befuddled that neither one of you guys have heard of BoJack Horseman. It's on like Netflix last 7 years or so. Will, what's his name? Does the voice. Will Arnett. Yeah. Life and Time of Tim's. The Life and Times of Tim. Most people haven't seen, but it's on Max, and it is pretty wild. It's pretty bonkers. I highly recommend it, as long as you're not like sensitive or whatever. J3 says the Life and Times of Tim sounds made up. Quite frankly, it does sound made up, but I swear to you, it's a real TV show, and it's quite good. It's a lot of fun. Jean Baptiste says I hate BoJack. Well, BoJack's at the bottom, but again, a little bit different today, where the bottom is fine. It's acceptable.
You changed the rules?
Yeah, were you not here when I was explaining this 5 minutes ago? I said it's the nature of the slates. Because
I can't keep up with this. I can't keep up with this, Dean.
What were you doing 5 minutes ago when I explained that?
I don't know. Reading the chat, I guess.
I don't really have a hot take. Can we do a poll, Steve? Is it possible? I don't know if we can. Simpsons, Family Guy, or South Park? Let's see if we can get a majority on those three. Do we have a hot take?
I've been trying to get my kid to watch Family Guy, so I don't have to watch his cartoons.
How old's your kid again?
He's 2 in 2 months.
That's great.
Me and my girlfriend love Family Guy.
Is that your favorite amongst the three?
I would say it's my favorite, but obviously The Simpsons has to be one. I love South Park too. Like South Park's like fantastic as well. I love South Park. Cartman's like unbelievable. I think he's probably my favorite adult cartoon character, I would say.
We can do that next time for you. We can do actual characters if you want. You want to power rank characters.
Well, I only know 3 shows, so yeah.
You can make it work. Tony's saying the Flintstones. Does that qualify as? I mean, I wouldn't call that as an adult cartoon, but whatever. Fair enough. All right. And I had I like Simpsons, Family Guy, and South Park kind of the same. Simpsons not as good as it used to be. It's Family Guy, you probably say the same thing. In any event, let's dive in. The poll is up, by the way. Hit the vote for the poll. Feel free to vote for Family Guy if you want, Bobby. I don't know which one.
I did. I voted for Family Guy.
It's
Is
funny
South Park
right
moving?
now,
South Park on the move. Simpsons.
They're all 33%. We've come to no consensus. 33% for all three. That's wild. We nobody can agree amongst those three. All right. 13 games. We got to move here, boys. First game we're going to talk about. Tim, you won the coin toss backstage. Cleveland Yankees. Luis Heel taking on Matthew Boyd. Yankees have a 4.4 team total. Again, nobody with a 5 total or higher, unless something has changed. I don't think that's the case. Boyd versus Luis Heel. Where do we have the Guardians and the Yankees, Tim?
I'm going to put the Guardians in the Life and Times of Tim. I think they're in a pretty bad spot, but they're talented enough that they could end up exceeding value. New York, I put all the way at the top. The Simpsons. Boyd is a huge fly ball pitcher. Love guys like Torres, Judge, and Stanton. I think they're top stack on the night.
You're muted.
Dean must be muted. That's a super mute.
That's a
Mega
serious mute, dude. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
The difference between a super mute and a mega
Dude,
mute.
Where is
Mute
Neil
a
and TJ? Where is Neil and TJ? Are they in the back?
Well, TJ will be coming in soon. I don't think Neil's going to be here until football season comes around on Sundays. I just thought that the total's kind of low for New York.
I can feel the heat from that chair over here. You know,
Bobby, do you have any issues with New York all the way at the top, hanging out with Homer? Cleveland's in the life and times of Tim.
I'm fine with Cleveland. New York, I'd probably move to Family Guy.
I am going to, this has nothing to do with our recent conversation or you pushing buttons. I'm going to keep New York with the Simpsons. Nothing personal.
You're so happy you got to do that. You're so happy you got to do that.
I want to move him down to Family Guy.
Well, you have the ultimate say. Like, nobody says it. If you want to do it, then you do it. I can't stop you. All right,
who keeps posting Ren and Stimpy stuff in the chat? Is it Ren and Stimpy with an adult show?
It was on. Yeah, it was on Nickelodeon. I think kids watched it. I wasn't really a Ren and Stimpy person. It was fine, I guess.
I wasn't. I knew of it. I just never watched it.
Yeah, just. I mean, I really have. I don't have a lot to say about it. I could pick him out of a lineup. What about the guy that always wanted to take over the world, Pinky and the Brain? Remember those guys?
I liked the Brain. That's one of my favorite characters.
Tim was a big Pinky guy. Yeah, he had no interest in the Brain. All right, I guess we're keeping. What do you got, Tim?
No, I never saw that show.
Oh, all right. Animaniacs. I don't know why. Now we're just naming cartoons. Maybe it was an MTV. I thought it was Nickelodeon, but that's the same company. It's Viacom, so it's possible to play on both. Okay. Cincinnati, Toronto, 8 total. Bobby, this is yours. Carson Spires taking on Jose Barrios. Will Wagner is one of the interesting punts in the slate, batting cleanup here for Toronto. Probably says more about Toronto's lineup on the whole, but still, there's a lot of funky names in Toronto these days. You know, we have Loperfido, the trade with Houston, Addison Barger. These are real people that are going to be swinging bats. Spires are not necessarily afraid of. Barrios, professional pitcher, perfectly fine. Cincinnati out of the small park. Toronto, a little bit of a downgrade there as far as hitting. Where do we have the Reds and Toronto, Bobby?
Leave the Reds in South Park and move the Blue Jays to the life and times of Tim.
I'm being told in chat, is that Billy Wagner's kid? Is that another kid of a former player on Toronto, or is that a bit? Doug's saying no.
It actually is his kid.
Is it? I didn't know that. Of course.
Yeah, they were showing him at one of the games.
Do you know Billy Wagner, when he was like 5 or 6 years old, he broke his arm. He was a righty. And he's just like, okay, I'm going to start throwing with my left hand. And he threw with his left hand on the garage. And then he just became a left-hander and threw 100 miles per hour throwing with his off hands. It's a little fun fact for you about Billy Wagner.
My kid throws with both hands. Should I make him an ambidextrous pitcher or a punter?
Who was the guy that you remember? The guy that had the 6-finger glove that he would switch. They made a rule because he was on Oakland. Can't remember the guy's name.
It's funny you said that. I met a guy today with 0 fingers on either hand.
Oh, well, okay.
He chased me down the street asking me for money, and I was like, "No one carries cash anymore, bud." And I was trying. I didn't have cash.
Tell him you're getting your Venmo. He didn't ask for Venmo or anything.
No, he didn't have a phone. He couldn't get. If he did, he couldn't pull it out of his pocket. He had no fingers.
Yeah, Venditti for that was the guy's name for Oakland, and of course Jim Abbott, King is mentioning, threw a no-hitter for the Yankees. Spectacular back in the day. Played with the Angels as well. Tim, how do we feel about Toronto and Cincinnati? We good with this, or are we moving on?
No, I actually really like Toronto tonight. I'm going to put Toronto in Family Guy. Love their prices.
Oh.
Not a bad matchup. love guys like Varsho, Wagner, Horowitz, Loperfido. So really do like the Jays tonight. I'm fine with Cincinnati in South Park.
We are going to, and producer Steve's all over it. We're going to just, split the difference. We're going to put Toronto in South Park, hanging out with, Kyle. Sure. I'll just randomly name another character each time as we move on. Next game is Baltimore and the Mets. Producer Steve's Mets. Jose Quintana taking on Dean Kramer. Again, another 8 total. Not a great ballpark. Not great weather. Nothing terribly appealing. Some good players here, of course. Nemo is back, by the way. He's starting today for the Mets. Austin Slater, just be on pinch hit alert. I might bet him under for hits. I think it's a sneaky good bet. Maybe under for strikeouts too. Maybe we'll hit that after the show. Trying to see if we can get a good line. He might only get 2 at-bats because Baltimore is really, really quick with the pinch hits these days. And if Quintana does not get through this lineup, you might see him 3 times, maybe 3 times. Any event, Tim, what do you have for the Mets and the O's?
They're both in South Park for me. It's a horrible ballpark, but it's a decent matchup for both teams. And they're going to be low owned. So except for Slater and maybe Henderson, but both teams are South Park for me.
David in chat says, unbelievable the disrespect for SP South Park on this stream. How is this disrespectful? We're putting him in the top 3 adult cartoons of all time. I think it's fully respectable. It's a great show, I don't know why that's disrespectful. If you don't say it's the greatest of all time, it's disrespectful. It's an awfully slippery slope. Any issues here, Bobby? We're throwing the Mets and Baltimore in South Park.
I'm going to put the Orioles in Family Guy, and we can leave the Mets in South Park. And I ran the Sims. Why. Okay. Ran the RG Sims, and the Orioles are coming out pretty good. The total moves a little bit. I always like to play the O's. So, yeah, I'm gonna go Orioles and Family Guy. And leave the Mets in South Park.
Brandon in chat says Dean is top 3 in the show right now, that's a great comment. Well played, Brandon. By default, of course. My only hiccup with
who's top 2? Who's top 2?
Well, that's a tougher question. And by the way, it's the point that was being made. David was talking about the poll. We're currently over 100 votes, and Family Guy is in the lead, 38%. Simpsons 31, South Park 31. So it's still a tight race. It's still really it's anybody's game. Still anybody's game, and the chat can tell us who's top 2, I suppose. So we'll leave to them. I'm sure they'll keep it clean there in chat as they're hitting that like button. My only issue, Bobby, is just again Baltimore. Eloy's probably coming out of this game. Mullins is coming in at some point. O'Hearn's coming in at some point. It's just annoying. Eloy and Slater are turning to Mullins and O'Hearn, not guaranteed, and other guys are vulnerable too, right? That's again, I'm looking for reasons, and the ballpark, of course, stinks, but they're in a bad ballpark as is.
If you liked it, you would say, "Oh, it doesn't matter. What if they're winning the game? They're not going to be pinch hit for." That's if it was the other way around, that's what you would say. Just
that's the right answer. I think that's the right answer. And just say screw it. They're going to be up 10-0, so who cares? I'll just keep Slater in the whole time. Steve, I'm going to leave it up to you. I see he's shuffling back and forth. We'll see where Steve wants to go. He's going to keep Baltimore and Family Guy.
You can't defer.
Philadelphia.
You deferred twice on the show already.
Yeah, I'm happy to defer. I don't need to be the person who makes all the decisions.
I thought that was more your personality.
I like the dish, man. I'm trying to get a triple-double over here. Right. I want to rack up those assists.
Russell Westbrook.
He hits a triple-double and still hurts the team somehow. Not back in the day. Back in the day, he was spectacular. Well, I love him. Westbrook is so much fun to watch. You'd never think watching him, how is this guy, the dude that had 2 knee surgeries, really severe knees? He's so fast. Anyways, Wheeler versus Lopez in Atlanta. Philadelphia locked in for 9 innings. One of my favorite teams on the slate, favorite by default. You got to pick somebody to be a favorite. Wheeler taking on Lopez. I think this is, Bobby, this is your board. Where do we have Wheeler, who's one of the chalk pitchers, taking on an Atlanta team that, they're still weakened now, the absence of Riley. So basically 3 real hitters and the rest is pretty meh. Phillies, Braves, interdivisional rivalry.
Yeah, Phillies are going to go the Simpsons for me. Really like the Phillies tonight. Like Wheeler. a good bit as well. So not going to like the Braves as much. I'll put the Braves in BoJack Horseman.
Any issues, Tim?
I'd go Phillies Family Guy, but I agree with the Braves.
Yeah, let's keep the Phillies up top and the Braves all the way at the bottom with BoJack. I guess that's fine. Yeah, we can move on. Tim, we have, I think, 8 more games to go. The slate is loaded with games. If you like games, it's there. But as far as things to like or love, it's sort of tough. Milwaukee taking on St. Louis. Eric Fede, Frankie Montas. Another 7.5 total. Another game where the weather's not spectacular. Another game at a ballpark that's not appealing for hitters. Did we get a Milwaukee lineup? Do I have to hit refresh? I think we did, right? Yeah. Chiriot, Mitchell, Contreras, Adames, Black, Hoskins, Frelick, and Ortiz. So, yeah, we did get a Milwaukee lineup. How do we feel about the Brewers and the Cardinals? The Cardinals, by the way, sent down Jordan Walker. What are they doing with this guy? Like, don't get me started, but I feel like they screwed him up. I think he's going to go somewhere in a couple of years and be great, but the organization messed with him too much. Different conversation for another day, I suppose. Where do you have the Brewers and the Cardinals?
I'd probably go Milwaukee, the Life and Times of Tim, and then I think the Cardinals are South Park.
All right, Cardinals, South Park, Milwaukee, Life and Times of Tim. Any issues here, Bobby?
I'd say they're both Life and Times of Tim.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I really want to play the Cardinals. The funny thing is, no one ever wants to play the Brewers. Of course, you like Breslin. You like Breslin probably 85% of the days we play MLB DFS. I would imagine, just based on his
I like him versus righties that are vulnerable to power lefties.
Yeah,
like shouldn't I like him? No,
you should like him obviously, but I know your game. I know that he's in your player pool probably every night.
I like the good players in good spots.
You like the officially priced guys. Yep.
Aaron is saying Burleson is a one-off. I think Gorman's interesting. It's just he's buried in the lineup, but theoretically he's got some power. I think there's probably better options there at second base, but not the most loaded positions. Shortstop is absolutely ridiculous. Of course, when crunch time comes on, they'll go around the horn. You'll hear how good some of those players are. But okay. We're going to keep them both in the Life and Times of Tim. Pittsburgh, Texas, Cody Bradford, Mitch Keller. Again, an 8 total. Again, a ballpark that's not thrilling. Team total of 4.3 for Texas. That's where we're at. Bobby, where do we have the Rangers and the Pirates?
Yeah, so for me, Texas would probably be – I like where Texas is in Family Guy. The Pirates in Life and Times of Tim or BoJack Horseman. Corey Seager wrote him up today. I think he hit a bomb last night or the night before. So
he had 2 last night.
He had 2 last night, yeah. Texas and Family Guy, Pittsburgh, and the Life and Times of Tim.
Tim?
I agree with I agree with Texas. I would put Pirates in BoJack Horseman. I really like Bradford tonight.
You could put them either way. I'll hedge.
Okay. We'll just throw them at the bottom end. I was kind of wishy-washy. I'm not a big fan of the Pittsburgh. I think you can attack Bradford a little bit, but, Cruz left on left is, he's distinctly worse. So it's not great. And really, Bart is batting third. I guess he's kind of interesting. Bart, maybe you'd think you throw him in the Simpsons, but Pittsburgh all the way at the bottom with BoJack Horseman. But we shall move on. Detroit and the Cubs. You're not going to believe it. Are you guys sitting down? Another 7.5 total. And this is Alex Faedo taking on Javier Assad. And that speaks to kind of how bad the offenses are and how bad the offensive environment is. We talked about it earlier. Should give it a refresh. Really no precipitation issues unless something's changed. And Ross right up. He just kind of talked about how it's good pitching weather in Chicago. 30% ding as far as homers, 13% ding when it comes to runs, 66 degrees, wind blowing at 9 miles per hour, basically from dead center. Tim, where do we have the Cubbies and Detroit?
I think they're both the life and times of Tim. I hate the weather in this game. I have some faith in Assad, and I don't really have any faith in the Cubs bats to get to Fado. So both of these teams are the life and times of Tim.
I see in the chat somebody said so very close to spelling out Montas. Are we spelling out words with these letters too? Is that something we can do? It seems really, really tricky. Just trying to see what kind of words we can spell with producer Steve and figure it out, but I don't really see any words that we can make. All right, never mind. I guess I'm distracted and I was just kind of jumping in the middle of a conversation I wasn't fully aware of. Let's see. Bobby, did you confirm? I apologize. Did you confirm Detroit, Chicago?
I'm with Tim. Life and times of Tim. I do like Riley Green, Verling, those guys as one-offs. I think they're good value.
Of course you like Riley Green. Well, why would 85% of the time you like Riley Green?
Yeah, I do. I like Riley Green. He's one of the better MLB players that I think he's a rising star in the league, I'd say, Dean, right? Correct?
I got him in my keeper league. I traded for him in the offseason, so I certainly hope so. I know you always ask me about my keeper league.
Wow. I'm so not surprised you play MLB fantasy keeper.
Where's the horn? Where's the horn sound effect?
Shoot the horn, dude.
Keeper league.
Fantasy MLB is, and especially like keepers, like, oh baby. I can't believe it. I can believe it.
It's a good way to talk to people too. Like Angels, Royals, Cole Riggins, Tyler Anderson, Kansas City. One of my favorite lineups today. We see Garcia leading off today versus the lefty. No Massey in this lineup. I think we possibly will see some pinch hit stuff later on in the game. I'm looking at Garrett Hampson. I'm looking at Blanco as well. Riggins strikes out a pile of righties, and we're seeing 8 righties here for the Angels. You're on the clock here, Bobby. What do you got? Angels, Royals.
I like KC and Family Guy. Angels, I'm going to throw in BoJack Horseman. He got it. Producer Steve. He was right on it. So I'm going to go with those two. Bobby Witt, you can always play. Salvi Perez. Is it Fettuccine Tuesday or what is it?
Tortellini
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you should know. If anybody, you should know this. This is your wheelhouse.
I'm fake Italian.
That came this. Oh, really?
My last name is Gomez.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I know that, but I never really put a lot of thought into it.
No, I'm more Italian than I am Spanish, obviously. But unless that makes me more Spanish.
I completely agree with producer Steve and Bobby. I'm fine with that.
I would have been good with KC all the way up top, but I don't have a say.
I agree that there's a ton of agreement on this show. It seems like.
Speaking of agreement, the poll right now in the chat: Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, 35% Family Guy, 34% Simpsons, 31% South Park. We have 3 separate camps that are basically the same percentage-wise. Nothing is separating from the pack, but we shall move on. Let's see how many more games we have. 5. Okay, 5 more games. Crunch time coming in. 10-15 minutes. You guys got TJ Zwarych, I presume. Spidey Bums. TJ, I think he's hosting. It makes sense that he's hosting. Derek Hardy, CEO of the Bat, CEO of the Blitz. That's going to become very useful soon enough. 15, 16 days till the start of NFL season. I believe there's college football this week. I want to say Hawaii might be playing some college football. Get excited. If you want to play some DFS and you have no clue who's playing for Hawaii or anybody in college football, get yourself some RG Premium. You can get a 6-month sub. You commit to 6 months, and you get $250 right at the top. $250 off if you commit to 6 months. Link is in the description. You don't like commitment? 1 month. 1 month, you get $40 off. You hate commitment. It's not your thing at all. 3 days. You want to taste? $19 and change. Check out the links in the description. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, all the sports you can think of. NASCAR is a la carte. You got to hit up Stevie for that one. NFL, I believe you can get NFL a la carte as well on the banner. You click on the banner. I think that is still going on as far as the sale. I want to say that was $2.99 if you want just NFL. You get the Sims, of course, the optimizer, all the articles. Squirrel wrote his article today, hitting the nuts. Dave Potts, the musings, all the goods. Expert rankings, expert survey, too much stuff to mention. Give it a shot. Yeah, go ahead. Get yourself some RG Premium. All right. We have 5 more games. I believe, Bobby, you're on the board. It's Blanco taking on Pavetta. We got an 8.5 total. Get excited. 8.5. Woo! That's a big boy number on this slate. Vegas is split the difference, basically a coin toss. Both teams with a 4.25 total. Where do you have Boston and Houston?
One sec, Dean. My tweet deck just went down. I just want to see the lineup. I'm going to flip them, though. I'm going to put the Red Sox and Family Guy, Houston and South Park. Houston, really only Yordan Alvarez and Altuve. Red Sox, Devers. Who's in there? Is my guy Danny Jansen? Did he make the lineup? My favorite player in the MLB.
He's batting 7th.
He's batting 7th. Yeah, I like the Sox tonight. I like the Sox tonight. Family Guy. They work for Family Guy for me. And get yourself some Danny Jansen for the dinger off the train tracks tonight.
That's where Pujo said it many, many years ago off Billy Wagner. If you remember. I think it was against Billy Wagner, right? It's against somebody in like a playoff game.
Pujols had to be juicing, by the way, correct?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna. I don't have access to his medicals, but he was definitely hitting the ball pretty hard. I'll give him that. By the way, producer Steve is saying in chat that Hawaii might have missed their flight. So I don't know when they were supposed to play next or when that game was going to happen. That might be throwing off the start of the game. Is there not another flight? Like an hour later? Anyways, what do we have here, Tim? Confirm, deny, as far as Bobby throwing out the Boston and Houston.
I just go down one on Boston, and I put them both in South Park.
Delaware State misses flight for 2024. Okay, versus Hawaii due to bus issues. Okay, Delaware State. What's the mascot for Delaware State? Come on, quick, give it to me.
We both are from the Northeast. We don't like college football, Dean. Although the coach of BC lives in my building downstairs. He actually told me I was in a 15-minute parking spot. I had been there for 2 days.
Wait a second. You, in a separate conversation, you were calling somebody else out for taking your spot. You're a big old hypocrite. Now you're. Oh,
that happened.
It was a domino effect.
That situation happened today, where I was driving down like a little cul-de-sac area, going back to get a spot because it was street cleaning. Street cleaning stinks. It's terrible. It's the worst invention ever. And this lady cut me off at the top and took the spot. And I just drove by and I was like, I gave her that look that the guy gives Happy Gilmore every time he swears in the movie. And she basically flipped out. The entitlement deed, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. She cut me off. It's not your spot. I was going around, You're muted again. Neil.
Wow.
No.
Neil, TJ.
Strike 2. Delaware State is the Hornets. I'm pretty sure Delaware is the Blue Hens. I think I know that, but I'm not much sure about that. But there you go. Delaware State, the Hornets. And people have been gambling on that for sure. You can't name one player in Hawaii and Delaware State, but people see football, they get excited for sure. All right. Do we have any issues here, Tim, as far as Bobby's rankings?
With the Red Sox in Houston?
Yes.
Yeah, I already said put Boston in South Park.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if Steve was probably waiting for me to deliberate. Yeah, I agree. I agree. This board is such a mess, man. It's such a mess. Let's see if we can find some clarity here. We got to be quick, Tim. We got to be quick here. Minnesota, San Diego, 7.5 total. Bailey over. Martin Perez. Neither team has a team total above 4. Where do we have the Twins and the Padres? I don't believe we have lineups for either just yet, unless it just came out.
Yeah, I actually like the Twins tonight. Just be careful of guys like Margot and Martin due to pinch hit risk. But I do like these righties like Lewis, Miranda, Jeffers, Castro. So I like them in Family Guy. And then San Diego, I kind of respect Ober. So I'm going to put San Diego in South Park.
San Diego and South Park, Minnesota, and Family Guy. What do we have here? We do have a San Diego lineup, by the way. It's Arise, Profar, Cronenworth, Machado, Bogarts, Merrill, Peralta, Campusano, and Tyler Wade. Confirm, deny. Bobby, we good? Any issues?
We're good. I really like Miranda, dual position eligibility. I think he goes yard tonight. But yeah, Family Guy for the Twins and South Park for San Diego.
I think Royce Lewis is a really fun one-off.
Yeah, Royce Lewis too.
Just he's pricey. I don't know if I can get there. But if I have the salary, we do, of course, live in the world of a salary cap. All right, Bobby, we have Tampa.
I've never heard that one before. Never.
You haven't? Well, yeah. Do you understand? Like you only have so much money to spend on each player. You got to delegate your funds appropriately. Choose wisely. Oakland is taking on Tampa. Shane Baz, Joey Estes, terrible ballpark, 7.5 total. Wash, rinse, repeat. Bobby, where do you have Tampa? Are they going to bounce back after their horrific game last night? And Joey Estes and the Athletics, neither team with a 4 total.
I can't believe I'm going to do this. I think we should be going back to Brandon Lau. I like Brandon Lau tonight. Leave Tampa. No, actually, I'm going to bump Tampa up to Family Guy, Dean. I'm going to go out on a limb. Ooh. I like Tampa and Family Guy. You know, little what's it called when you the flop lag, I think is the term.
Flop lag, yeah. There's the Frostberry.
I like a Rosarena
well.
a good bit too. Yeah, I like Tampa Bay up there. And the A's, yeah, the life and time. They're just a boring team at this point.
According to producer Steve, you're repackaging the 6-pack. Did you watch the 6-pack today? I'm guessing Beer liked himself some Brandon Lau. I don't know that for certain though.
Brandon Lau is a great. Brandon Lau is one of my. He's in my top 5. I would say of favorite MLB players.
Really? He's right up there with Danny Jansen.
Danny Jansen, Travis d'Arnaud. Brandon Lau might be 3. To be honest, he might be 3.
I wanted who the think about who the next 2 are. Now I'm curious. So the next 2 would be. I'm not going to hold you to it.
I'll think about it and get back to you.
Tim, any issues here? Oakland, Tampa?
I'm way lower on Tampa Bay. Rosarena doesn't play for Tampa Bay, just so everyone knows.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I know. I probably do it all the time. Both are the life of times of Tim for me.
Let's throw Tampa and South Park and kind of split the difference. White Sox, Giants, Robbie Ray taking on a White Sox team that has a total less than 3. Terrible ballpark to be hitting baseball, 7.5 total. The Giants have one of the higher team totals on the board, almost at 5. It's creeping up there. But, again, not a great spot. Tim, Giants, White Sox.
Yeah, definitely the White Sox can go and BoJack Horseman. And then the Giants, I would say, I guess Family Guy. Yeah, I'd go Family Guy.
All right. White Sox and BoJack. What do you got, Bobby?
White Sox and BoJack. The Giants. People are going to actually play the Giants. I have the Giants in South Park. I can't play the Giants.
I'm going to agree with you, Bobby. And I would have pushed the White Sox up the life and times of Tim, but neither one of you guys were willing to do it. So we can't do it. Nobody wants it. You guys both want it.
You can do it. I'll go back. I'll change my answer so I can get the win.
Well, it's just because are you keeping score after his
in my head
live score? Yeah, I mean, look, Robbie Ray, we know what kind of a disaster he can be. We know how cheap these Chicago guys are, and Robert is interesting. Vargas is cheap. I don't love it, but they can kind of make stuff work. The entire lineup is really, really cheap. And if Ray just, I think as Dave put it in his article today, walk homer. Like that absolutely can happen here for Chicago. This is why I mute myself, by the way. I needed to get a drink. I had to clear my throat. My apologies. One more game till we get to crunch time. Tim, get those taters ready. Bobby, if you have any more Bobby bombs, by all means, get those loaded as well. Hopefully the people hit the like button enough. We do have over 200 people voting in the poll, if there's less than 200 likes, I'm going to be upset. Because how do you vote for the poll and not vote for, not the like button? That's even easier. You don't have to think about it. The poll, you got to think: do I like The Simpsons? Do I like Family Guy? Do I like South Park? Only 135. That is egregious. You're going to make Bobby grovel and beg, and he doesn't want to do that.
I will not do that. I will not. I am not a beggar. I'm not a beggar.
Tim?
I'm not. I'm really not.
Well, I don't know. Maybe. Oh, TJ. We got TJ coming on. TJ will make it work when he jumps on momentarily. Last game is Seattle and the Dodgers, 8.5 total. Dodgers still just a 4.6 total. I believe their lineup just came out. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Teoscar, Lux, Smith, Muncy, Edman, Kiermaier. So, yeah, it looks pretty solid, at least 1 through 7. We got Edman coming back last night for his MLB debut on the season. Tim, I believe this is your board, Tim. Dodgers at home, taking on the Mariners. You know, Walker Buehler has been a certifiable disaster. He's like the world's oldest 30-year-old from a pitching perspective. I think it's over for him. Way too many homers he's given up. It just seems like the injuries have kind of caught up with him. But we saw what Gavin Stone did last night to this terrible Seattle team. I'm sort of doing the push-pull, but I am kind of on the Seattle side, but I don't feel great about it. Tim?
Yeah,
Seattle,
I'm not on the Seattle side. I'm going to go the life and times of Tim. I just can't do it with them. They strike out too much. I know Bueller's not great, but it's just such a high K team. And then the Dodgers, I think they're very, very stackable always. So Family Guy for me.
If nothing else, love the big dumper, Kyle Raleigh, as a one-off. He's my favorite one-off on the slate. I don't know how popular he's going to be, but it seems like a great Kyle Raleigh spot. Maybe a little mini for Seattle. I might kind of split the difference there. But where are you at, Bobby? We got Seattle and the life and times of Tim. Dodgers hanging out with Stewie and Peter Griffin.
I'm going to bump the Dodgers up to the Simpsons. Seattle, life and times of Tim is fine. Yeah, but the Dodgers, obviously, can always play Ohtani, and like Dean said, there you can stack them any which way. So I don't know. Dodgers are usually a top tier team for me, so I'll go the Simpsons.
You know, I don't know if we need a tiebreaker or not, Bobby, but you just you get the point. The Dodgers are going to make it in the Simpsons. Look at the board, by the way. We built a very interesting board, symmetric, about as symmetric as you can be if you threw one of these teams out in the second tier. But the board reads the Simpsons, of course, at the top with the Yankees, the Phillies, the Dodgers. Family Guy has Baltimore, Texas, KC, Minnesota. Next tier is South Park, pretty loaded. Cincinnati, Toronto, the Mets, Houston, Boston, San Diego, Tampa, San Fran. We're throwing our hands up there in the middle. Next tier, the life and times of Tim, which, by the way, again, it's one of those hidden gems that nobody's ever watched before, but it's spectacular. Cleveland, Milwaukee, St. Louis, Detroit, Chicago, Oakland, Chicago, and Seattle. Don't watch it with your kids. Last one is BoJack Horseman, Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and the Angels. Crunch time's coming in a second, but we promised it. We teased it. Tim, to be giving enough time to have some taters for the people.
Yeah, I'm going to go Dalton Varsho plus 470 on FanDuel. And I'm going to go Vlad plus 400 on FanDuel.
Bobby, you gave out J-Ram earlier. You got anything else?
Danny Jansen.
And how about Brandon Lau? Just all your favorite players. Just load it up.
Yeah, load them up.
Yeah. I'm going to say Kyle Raleigh. I'll give my next to the Dean Dongs, the official Dean Dongs. I'll write those in chat. But we should go ahead and bring in crunch time. TJ Zwarych. We got Squirrel Patrol and Derek Hardy, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Here we go. It's crunch time. Okay, hold on a second. That's not Derek Hardy.
Called in unwilling to talk about this nonsense slate, so here I am.
It's terrible. Is Dave? This is all. It's the worst slate.
I would have called in sick if I'd known that was an option, but since I'm already the fill-in, I didn't feel like I should.
It's so bad. Squirrel, is this your first slate back since coming back from vacation? How was Cape Town?
It's not my first slate. It's my first show. But yeah, I've been playing slates since I got back like Saturday morning. But yeah, I was in South Africa. I did the traditional like fantasy analyst pre-football season vacation. Long flight. It was like it was cool to see all the animals. Did like some wine tasting in the South African wine region. But yeah, it was great. Great vacation.
Awesome.
Did the Maui Gems make it
Bobby.
back?
Yeah.
Did the Maui Gems make it back? I kept seeing you post.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Good, nice.
Taking those
I always
sunglasses
lose my
everywhere.
glasses on vacation. That's why.
I would not have taken the Maui Gyms to South Africa at all. Like that seems risky.
Yeah.
Is Maui Gems something you get when you win $1 million? All you guys know exactly what that is. What are Maui Gems?
The sunglasses, like DraftKings had a promotion where they gave everybody like might have been an Onyx thing, I don't know, but it was you got like a free pair of Maui Gym sunglasses.
I thought you were saying gem, but yeah, Maui Gym I'm not aware of either. I just Googled and got there, but I'm feeling left out. TJ, you got the Maui Gyms up there in Saskatchewan, Canada?
No, I think that might be a Maui thing as opposed to a Saskatoon thing.
Got to pay quite a tariff to get those into Canada.
All right. TJ, you haven't taken this, right? I imagine we're basically divided in the poll. Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, it's basically 33%, 33%, 33%. Do you have a hot take you want to break the tie?
Is it favorite or which we think is the best?
What's the difference?
One is an objective critique, and the other is a personal
TJ
favorite.
makes like a really good point here.
Yeah.
Simpsons is the best show. Family Guy is my favorite of the group.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally agree. Well said. Of course, there can be a difference between the best and your favorite. Of course, there can.
Yeah, well, like Bobby says, his favorite player, one of his favorite players is Danny Jansen, but he's of course not the best player. So is that like the same idea?
Yeah, it's exactly. Yes.
All right, fair enough. I guess it kind of worked out. Anything else here, boys, before we step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time? I think we're good to go, right?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Do check out in 3.5 hours live tonight on the Morning Grind channel. A little synergy.
Toot.
Well, I want the people to hang out with us, and and we're gonna be.
I know. You're gonna be on it. We know.
Yeah, talking a little. I don't know what the slate looks like tomorrow. You probably already looked at it, Dave. How is tomorrow's slate? It's better than today, hopefully.
I actually have not looked yet. I mean, I can tell you though it's better than today, and I have not looked.
Kind of, sort of has to be.
Pretty sure it'll be a split slate, and they'll both be better than today.
There you go. Myself, Bobby, Tim, appreciate y'all watching. Hit that like button, subscribe. Don't go anywhere. You got 40 plus minutes with three of the best in the business. TJ Zwarych, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. You got SquirrelPatrol back, refreshed from Cape Town with his sunglass gym. What's it called? Maui Gym. Did not stick the landing. And Dave Potts, take it away, TJ.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of MLB Crunch Time. I'm your host, TJ Zwarych, joined by the literal two sharpest minds in the biz when it comes to baseball. First up, we got Cheeseisgood, Dave Potts. How you doing, Cheese?
I am doing fine, as everyone has already said. It's a weird little slate, so we're going to let Squirrel tell us what to do, and we'll do that.
Perfect. If there's one thing Squirrel can tell us how to do, it's get different in a GPP and finish up top. So how you doing today, Squirrel?
Good. It is. It's a weird slate. It was funny because I looked at it, and it really is almost unique in my history of playing DFS baseball. And then I was reading, certainly everybody's content. It's like I think everybody's has the same reaction to it, but I do think that I'll probably play it a little bit differently. So we'll see.
There it is. And to get access to all the tools and to help you out on slates that are difficult like this, you can get ahead with the competition with RotoGrinders Premium. NFL Premium for the season is now available. Non-premium users can get over $100 off their NFL Premium subscription. That is a lot of time saying premium in the span of a couple sentences. But all you got to do is click the RotoGrinders banner on the website. You can also get yourself 6-month combo subscription at an exclusive price at $469.99. That's a savings of $250. Instead of buying 6 individual months of combo premium, if you're not a fan of commitment, you can get a month of RotoGrinders Premium for $120. And those that want to test run before buying can dip their toes in the water with our 3-day pass at $19.99. Check the links in our description for more info. That is the best I've ever said, the dip your toes in the water sentence. I am really, really proud of myself for that. But we'll move on from that. That's not as important as breaking down the slate. Cheese, why don't you give us a little, or maybe Squirrel wants to give the rundown since we did say we were just going to listen to whatever he said.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
have at it, man. Enjoy.
Yeah. So what? 13 games, 26 teams. No team has an implied run total, of 5 runs or more. I think there's only one team. I think the White Sox have a implied run total less than 3 runs. Everything's just jammed in the middle, and so that's affecting both the hitting and the pitching. Because on the pitching side, we've got some good pitchers. Don't really have any great pitchers, and there's not really any total gas cans either. And then and that's on the hitting side, you can pretty much play any stack you want. So yeah, it's an interesting slate. I do think that I am going to lean towards some things like playing road teams more than I normally do. I love playing road teams more than most people. Get the guaranteed ninth inning at bats. If the team's up 15 runs, they're still going to hit in the ninth inning. So I'm leaning towards playing some of the road teams. And then I think I'll probably spread out a pitcher pretty far in multi-entry. I think for single entry, there is an argument to just play. We've got some good pitchers on the slate. Maybe just play if you're playing one lineup, just play one of the good pitchers on the slate and let other people overthink it. But I think for multi-entry, I'll probably split out pretty far. Spread my exposure out to pitchers pretty far and be under the field on some of the guys that are the top pitchers on the slate, like Zach Wheeler and Cole Reagans and Robbie Ray.
Yeah, I usually try and keep a really tight pitching pool, and I still today in 150 lineups have 10. I could only get it down to 10, which feels really small on this slate. Cheese, how many pitchers were you choosing between today? Who would be your top choices for single entry and even a cash game if you were playing that?
Well, I can tell you, I got it down to 6. I've got about 100 lineups between the two sites. Grand total of 6 pitchers. I just feel I'm spreading out all over the place with stacks. Like Squirrel said, I don't want to spread it all over with pitchers and stacks because then it's just even in 150 lineups, you don't have close to everything. The thing I said in the article is if I do this off the wall stack, I don't want to ruin my one random good, whatever, Brewers stack or some random thing because I goofed around at pitcher. Just play the good pitchers. But when I say the good pitchers, even that's debatable. And you do have to have some cheaper pitchers. And once you get below Reagans and Wheeler, it's totally debatable who the good pitchers are. So what I'm doing is in cash on DK, I would just play Reagans and Wheeler and be done with it. It's not that hard. And I think it's silly not to do that. I think Robbie Ray is the big question mark here. I'm pretty certain that he'll be the highest owned pitcher on the slate.
I was going to say, I feel like I'd go Reagans and Ray just because Ray's highly owned in cash. And also it just will allow you to help so much in bats. I think getting that extra $700.
Well, you do that. I think that'll be the common combo. I'll take Wheeler over Ray and cash 100 times out of 100 with no question at all, personally. But I mean, if you're playing Ray and cash, I understand why you are.
Yeah, I'm not playing cash either, but just kind of devil's advocate. I think Ray would be, for what it's worth, even in tournaments, I'm low on Wheeler today. He's the guy of the trio that I decided to go lower on. So that's I think where that comes in too. But continue.
And so if I wasn't playing Reagans and Wheeler in cash, I would play Reagans and a cheap pitcher in Oakland, either Shane Baz or even Joey Estes. Now, where the slate gets messy and where when Squirrel says he's going to spread out, I totally understand it. We've got guys that I am not playing would be Cody Bradford, Luis Heel, Jose Barrios, Bailey Ober, et cetera, et cetera. These are good pitchers. Ronel Blanco. These are all good pitchers. And they all have essentially the same ceiling in a best case scenario as Reagans and Wheeler. But I don't care. I don't think you're going to lose if your pitcher scores 17 and somebody else gets 25, even if he's a few bucks cheaper. That's not where this slate is going to be won or lost. So just give me the good pitchers. Now, personally, that means on DK, I'm playing some Robbie Ray. There's no way I'm going X button, but I'm under the field. I'm at about 15 to 20%. So I'm going under 8K with my other 3 pitchers, which for me are Pivetta, Shane Baz, and Joey Estes. Pavetta and Boz, I think, have the ceiling with plenty of risk. You can do a bunch of other pitchers instead of Estes. You could do Matthew Boyd. You could do Jose Quintana. You could do Frankie Montas. You could do Javier Assad. Like, it's all fine. But again, I don't want to play this many guys. So I'm playing Estes as the cheap guy and Boz and Pavetta in the mid-tier. And that's it. That's my whole pool. On FanDuel, I'm a little more tempted to play Cody Bradford, but I'm just fine with Pavetta and Boz. So that's my pool. And I do have a lot less Reagans and Wheeler on FanDuel, because the salary does matter a little more. That $1,000 to $2,000 makes essentially all the difference. So I'm heavier on those two on DK, lighter on them on FanDuel.
I dropped the first Spidey bomb, or Steve dropped the first Spidey bomb below already. It's Will Wagner plus 850. We got 3 more potentially, so I'll drop the next one at 200 likes, next one at 225. We got 700 people watching. Should be nice and easy. All we need you to do is just smash that like button, and we got home run calls coming your way. They're juicy today. I think the first 3 are all like at worst plus 625 or better. So real juicy Spidey bombs today. First is Will Wagner. If we get up to 350 likes, Hammer 74 is going to eat his laptop, so that'll be a spectacle. Maybe we can get a video of that, throw it up on the screen.
If it's an Apple, that makes sense. I wouldn't even argue with it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I like that one.
I just want to say something so I can pull a shoulder of my cup. All right, carry on.
Serotonin Cowboy asking no Matt Boyd today. That was one of the guys that Cheese mentioned. Like, yeah, if you want to play him as a cheap guy, you can. Cheese is not. I personally am not. My total pool is Ray Reagans, Assad, Estes, Davis Martin is another cheapie I'm taking a shot on. Shane Baz, Eric Fetty, Cody Bradford, Jose Barrios, Nick Pavetta. So I'm taking a shot on a lot of the cheaper guys today. Squirrel, who are you prioritizing in tournaments at pitching?
Pitching, so you've got the top 3, the guys that kind of have some differentiation, maybe Wheeler or Reagans and Robbie Ray. I think I'm going to be a little bit under the field on them, but not tremendously under the field. The guys I think I'm probably going to be over the field on, Cody Bradford. He's looked good since he came back. He's in the starting rotation. He's got a really good matchup against the Pirates. He's got a good price. I do think he is a little bit better on FanDuel than on DraftKings, but I think he's absolutely playable on both sites. I do like Nick Pavetta. He's a little bit like a Robbie Ray, but he's a guy that could have the highest score on the slate. He doesn't have the best matchup against Houston. They don't strike out a ton. But if he's got the potential to have the highest score on the slate at not the highest price, I think that's something I'm interested in. I think you can play some Shane Baz. I think Joey Estes on both sites is playable. Luis Gil, Jose Barrios. I think even on FanDuel, I think you can even play a little bit of Walker Buehler. He's got decent price. It is a good matchup against Seattle. I'm not a huge believer, but I think if you end up with 7,000 on FanDuel, I think Walker Buehler is a reasonable play. I don't think I'm getting to him on DraftKings. It's a little bit more pricey, and the scoring system doesn't benefit him as much.
All right, I like it. Now let's switch it over to stacks. We are over 200 likes, so Spidey Bomb number 2 plus 625. Gunnar Henderson, personal favorite for the Spidey Bombs. He's there again. I don't care that it's lefty. He's actually facing a pitcher that is worse against left-handed pitchers than he is right, even though it's a lefty-lefty matchup in Jose Quintana. So I do like this spot a lot for Gunnar Henderson today. Spidey Bomb number 2 will get the third one at 225 likes. Squirrel, why don't we stick with you? Who do you like today for stacks?
So I think probably my favorite team, and I put this in my article. I think my favorite team is the Phillies. I'm kind of prioritizing some road teams. I think on FanDuel, the Dodgers are definitely in play. They're really hard to get to on DraftKings. If you can get to them on DraftKings, I think it's reasonable to maybe play 2 cheap pitchers and play a 5-man Dodgers stack. But I think a 3-man stack may be easier, or maybe just a Shohei Ohtani one-off. I think moving beyond the Dodgers and the Phillies, I think the Yankees are always have that power potential. I think Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. I think moving beyond them, I like the Rays a little bit. I think Joey Estes is maybe going to be overowned I'm playing some Estes, but I think playing some Rays as well makes sense. I like getting to the Mariners. Like I said, like Walker Buehler maybe has some upside with some strikeouts, but there's also a chance he, gets hit pretty badly. Mariners hit much better on the road. Cal Riley always hits much better on the road. Then additional teams I like: Toronto, Boston, Houston. Not getting to San Francisco probably as much as the field, and then maybe some Texas and even some Cincinnati.
Cheese, how about you? Who are you prioritizing for stacks?
Yeah, whatever teams Squirrel didn't mention, I also like those teams. Like that's what this slate is. I know it's like that's not what you want to hear, but like I have, there's 26 teams on the slate. I've got at least 24 stacks. I don't think I did an Angels. Anyhow, if I have to give you a couple favorites, which I'm just making up because they're all tied, the Rangers are first.
That's my number 1, too.
There you go. Well, win with that. I would say the Giants are second, but if there's one team that's going to be a little chalky, that's probably them. So I'm going to move them down below the Dodgers. And the Mets, I guess. The two teams that I'm kind of going out of my way to play, even though I wouldn't tell you they're the best stacks, are the Red Sox and the Guardians.
All right, let's start going position by position. Make sure you're smashing the like button for us. We are only 5 likes away from the third Spidey Bomb. And then if we get up to 250, I got another one after that. Plus, the expert DFS lineup generation tool from RotoGrinders and Fantasy Labs, known as SimLabs, just got even better. In addition to desktop tool on the web, you can now download the SimLabs mobile app from your app store and use the power of DFS simulations in the palm of your hand, available to combo and single sport subs, or you can buy a la carte on the app store. Check it out today. Let's go position by position. Cheese, start us off at catcher. It was gross yesterday. You usually like it. Is it any better today?
Well, I mean, really no position is better today. Like it's like the stacks because there are really no terrible pitchers. So it's all just kind of fine. Cal Raleigh and Sal Perez are my two favorites. The brothers Contreras would be third and fourth, but those are all kind of on the expensive side. I will tell you that my highest owned catcher is Corey Lee, because I don't really care who I play if I don't have at least 4,500. I kind of like Joey Bart and Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk in that mid-tier. But essentially, if I don't have money just sitting around, just give me cheap Corey Lee.
Spidey Bomb number 3 is also Dean's Dong number 3 today, and it's Alec Burleson. You can find him for plus 775 today. I do have one more Spidey Bomb in the chamber. Get up to 250 likes, and we got it. Plus, we hit 350. Hammer's eating his laptop. Squirrel, who do you like today at catcher?
Sure. So, yeah, I think Cal Riley's the only guy I'd really want to go out of my way to play. Maybe JT Realmuto. Everybody else, especially for the price, is just if I'm playing the stack and I have the money, I'd play the catcher. If I am looking for absolute value, I actually agree. It's Corey Lee. Maybe Danny Jansen or James McCann if you want some value but don't want to play Corey Lee.
Butthole Jenkins asks if Joey Bart is in play tonight at catcher. Yes, absolutely he is, batting third for Pittsburgh. Don't love the full stack, but I don't mind it at all. Take us to first base, Squirrel.
Sure. So just using the DraftKings positions, Shohei Ohtani, I think, is the best hitter on the slate. He's the guy that I really want to get up to. I'm spend down a pitcher to get up to Shohei Ohtani if I can. Beyond Shohei Ohtani, like Brandon Lau, Bryce Harper, Freddie Freeman is potentially going to go on the injured list, but didn't. But I do like, I think the Dodgers and the Phillies are the two best stacks, price not considered. And the Dodgers have everybody healthy. They've got Mookie Betts back. They've got Max Muncy back. It's like that team could start really having some crazy offensive games. For value, like Seth Brown at 2,600 on DraftKings, maybe some Ty France. Actually, I want to be over the field on the Reds. They're a team that can just start running around the bases. And they're getting a ballpark downgrade with ballpark downgrade. They get the road, ninth inning at bats. And then one last value play, maybe John Singleton with you.
Cheese, how about you?
Agree. Like Ohtani's top bat on the slate. Play him if you can get him. I also like Bryce Harper. My favorite play is Josh Naylor. But like I have no issue with any of these kind of expensive guys, Freeman, Guerrero, Alonso. But I'm mostly getting up to Ohtani or Harper or saving a little with Naylor or then saving more, mostly on DK. Although like FanDuel, it's all bunched enough that I think you can play catchers here as well. Like Raleigh and Perez, I like more or less as much as all the first basemen other than Harper. The super cheap stuff I like better at other positions on DK, so I'm not doing a lot of it at first. I think it's like Singleton and Tyler Black are like fine, but if I can get up to like Horwitz or Burleson or Mountcastle, I would rather do that.
All right. If you have any questions today, get them in the RotoGrinders Discord live stream chat. I'll also be looking at the YouTube chat as well, but get them in as soon as you can. Get them in now because we'll be trying to go through them pretty quick so we can get out of here right at lock because there is a PGA show right after us with Noto and STL cards. So if you want to play some PGA this week, stay tuned for that show as well. And in the meantime, smash the like button. We're 20 likes away from the next Spidey Bum. Cheese, or who do you like today? It's second.
Always a very different position. Just to note on FanDuel, Betts and Tyler Fitzgerald are at second. I like playing Fitzgerald at second a lot. I think Gleyber Torres and Brandon Lau are probably my favorites, closely with Marcus Semien and Bryson Stott. And then on DK, I have a ton of Will Wagner, as I kind of think everyone will. He's one of the better salary savers on the slate. And that's really about it.
Yeah, Will Wagner, Spidey Bomb #1 batting cleanup today, moving up the order as he continues to absolutely smash the ball. Squirrel, who do you like at second?
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever agreed with a position recap as much as I think Brandon Lau and Gleyber Torres are the best two second basemen. Torres is particularly appealing at just 3,800. I do think like Will Wagner is very, very well priced at 2,500. He's hitting cleanup for Toronto. Just the other guys I'll mention, Michael Garcia, Jorge Polanco. I do like some Mariners. Like I think they might be an under-owned stack. And then if you absolutely have the money, Jose Altuve.
All right, take me to third.
Third base, I think, Rafael Devers is probably the top option if you have like unlimited money. I like probably Max Muncy, though, for the price, like 4,700, a little bit better. I don't know that I like really want to spend up for these guys. Like you can always, play Jose Ramirez or Royce Lewis if you have the money. If you're looking to save some money, probably like Shea Whitcomb. He's only hitting 8th though, which isn't ideal. Or maybe Junior Caminero for Tampa Bay.
Cheese, how about you?
I kind of love third base as the spend up to be different. I think Chapman is kind of the chalk because he's considerably cheaper than Ramirez, Devers, and Royce Lewis. And I love those three guys. They're three of my favorite plays on the slate because I think essentially no one's playing them. And they are top hitters. I'm going to say Ramirez is my favorite. Devers is second. I like Max Muncy as well. I am playing some cheap punts on DK. I'm playing Miguel Vargas. I'm playing Paul DeYoung. I'm playing Addison Barger. It's mostly a spend up or spend down. The mid tier is like once you get below about Muncy, I don't know. It's fine, but I would rather just go cheap at that point.
All right, take me to shortstop.
As per usual, I mean, just play one of them. I would, if salary doesn't exist, I would go Witt first, Ellie second, Seager third. Not to say I don't love Henderson, Fitzgerald, Betts, and Trey Turner and Lindor. Like again, it's just every day it's the same thing. It's loaded. It's awesome. Play all these guys. I guess my biggest sort of thought is that Seager probably gets a little too much ownership because of the salary gap from Witt and Ellie. And Witt probably takes more of the high-end ownership, and they're all close enough that I'm going to say that Ellie is my favorite.
All right, Squirrel, who do you like today at shortstop? I think one of the best sneaky plays on the slate is Gunnar Henderson because he's lefty-lefty. Nobody's getting there, but that doesn't really matter against Quintana.
Yeah, so I like Trey Turner. I like the Phillies stack. Corey Seager is like underpriced at 5,300. But yeah, I'd probably rather play more Turner than Corey Seager. Ellie De La Cruz, somebody you can spend up for, and you can always get a handful of stolen bases and break the slate. And then probably Mookie Betts. But there's a lot of shortstops that are worth spending up for. If you are looking to spend down, I wouldn't spend down. But if you absolutely have to, maybe Junior Caminero he's hitting cleanup at 3,100. The lineup just came out.
All right, take us over to the outfield.
In the outfield, I think Shohei Ohtani. If you're not playing Ohtani, the spend up you want to get to is Aaron Judge. I also like Kyle Schwarber. Giancarlo Stanton is probably underpriced at 4,800 on DraftKings, and he's definitely underpriced on FanDuel. I don't mind getting a Julio Rodriguez or Randy Rosarina. Probably higher on the Mariners stack than most people. Value plays, probably Joey Lopezito at 2,700. Maybe Parker Meadows. Actually, I do like Parker Meadows at 3,300. He's leading off for Detroit.
Healthy obsession in chat saying that I did not get the memo on the hairstyle for today. That's my bad. You're absolutely right. I will make sure that I got that one locked and loaded for next time.
Two of us look fantastic, and then there's you. But
like absolute trash. Who do you like to
what is happening? The top four, which would be Ohtani, Judge, Alvarez, and Schwarber, are just fantastic. Spend up if you can. But now we're stuck with third base, shortstop, and outfield. I want to spend up. I can't just get all these guys, but most of my lineups have one of those four. And that's the order in which I like them: Ohtani, Judge, Alvarez, Schwarber. But mix and match, play them if you can get them. Dalton Varsho is my favorite sort of mid-tier play. Stanton on FanDuel is too cheap. There's just a ton of totally fine but not great mid-tier plays. I would say Adolis Garcia and Brandon Nimmo are probably my favorites in that sort of bunch. Squirrel named some cheap guys. Like all the guys down kind of 2,500 and below are playable just because of the salary on DK. I think I have the most probably Addison Barger down there. I have a little Victor Scott. But that's really only if you just kind of desperately need it. Get as many expensive guys as you can get, which again, that's why I'm punting with, random Corey Lee at catcher and playing Will Wagner at second. And why I have some cheap third baseman is so I can get an extra expensive outfielder.
All right, home run calls. We are 15 likes away from the final Spidey Bomb. Hopefully we can get there by the time Squirrel and Cheese are done. So make sure you are smashing that like button. Squirrel, let's start with you. Who are the nuts today? Who's hitting a home run?
I'll go Kyle Riley, and I will also go Brandon Lau.
Kyle Riley, Brandon Lau. How about you, Cheese?
How about Rafael Devers? And how about Miguel Vargas? And in the middle somewhere, I will go with Adolis Garcia.
All right, going to some QQs here. Looking at the RotoGrinders live stream Discord chat first. Then I will be going to the YouTube chat. First things first. All right. It's not a question, but it's worth noting. This is Tuesday, August 20th, from Bill T. His wife was born on this day 68 years ago. So happy birthday to Bill T's wife. Squirrel, favorite FanDuel single entry stack today?
Phillies.
Phillies, good answer there. I might as well. Cheese, what do you think? Favorite single entry stack for FanDuel?
Texas.
Guys, the optimizer spit out 5-3 Toronto and Giants stack, and I changed it to 4-4 for a large field DK GPP. What do you like better, Cheese? Chapman and Loper-Fido or Barger and Springer?
Chapman and Loper-Fido.
DK GPP, am I getting too cute using salmons? 2 questions about salmons in a row. Don't play salmons. A potential long reliever for Detroit. It's a 13-game slate. They do wonky things where they have a long reliever projected. They put somebody else in. Plus, there are just way too many good pitchers on the slate. You don't got to worry about trying to play a reliever today. 3 lineups, 3 different pitchers for a FanDuel GPP. Also, are there any weather concerns? No weather concerns today, which is wild. Speaking of just like we're talking about how weird and unique today's slate is, 13 games. And the only thing somewhat weather related is that there's winds blowing in Wrigley today. But 3 lineups, 3 different pitchers on FanDuel. Squirrel, who do you got?
I'd go Cody Bradford. If you want to be, a little bit less different, like Zach Wheeler. If you want to be a little bit more different, maybe Luis Gil.
Today is Steve's 1-year anniversary of being married. Congrats to Steve. This is my 5-year anniversary of dating my wife that we started dating 5 years ago today. It's a good day for birthdays and anniversaries of the like. Going back to the Discord here. Or no, same with you, Cheese. 3 pitchers for FanDuel GPP. Who'd you got?
Pavetta, Boz, and Reagans.
NBA DFS says 3v3 Squirrel. You ready? 3v3 for FanDuel Cash. Torres, Sal Perez, and Chapman, or Brandon Lau, Manuel Margot, and Michael Garcia.
I think the first one. I feel like Margot is always like a pinch hit risk. I forget who was in the first one already. But,
Torres, Perez, Chapman. I think that's the one as well. Top outfielder for DK Cash, 6,500 or less, Cheese. So anybody not named Aaron Judge or Shohei Ohtani, who would be your favorite spend up?
It is pretty crazy how many lineups I had like 65 or 6,600 left. I was like, $200 somewhere. I would go Alvarez.
Yordan Alvarez. Going back here. Is Matt Boyd about to get channel caked, Cheese?
I'm going to say no. Give a couple homers, but I don't think he gets shellacked.
Going to the YouTube chat here. Who would be your top favorite bats to get over two bases or more today? Well, as Derek Ringling mentioned in chat, the RotoGrinders squad ride today is Corey Seager, more than 1.5 bases from Kevin Roth, who is on a hot streak using, I believe that's Beers pick'em. So Corey Seager would definitely be one of the guys there. Healthy Obsession says he is not knocking my hair. It's just when you are side by side with 2 bald guys, go bold, go bald. That's fair. So I'm just reading Squirrel. These are not my words. I'm just the messenger.
What do you mean, Paul?
FanDuel GPP, Lindor, Seager, or Trey Turner, Cheese?
I mean, yes, I'll go Seager.
Barger and Ohtani or Caminero, Yordan, DK Cash, Squirrel?
Sorry. Caminero, Yordan, or
Barger and Ohtani.
Barger and Ohtani.
Who would you prefer, Cheese, Renfro or Nootbaar? P.S. Thanks for yesterday's insights. Richard Amoa is $10K richer.
Excellent. Is Renfro or Nootbaar?
Yeah.
Boy, they're so similar. That price range is just so close. I'm going to go Renfro there, but that's very coin tossy.
Top three Blue Jays, top three in a Blue Jays stack. I would say Vladimir Guerrero, Dalton Varsho, and Will Wagner. Get your cheapie in there. And that's actually two of Tim's taters and a Spidey bomb. So that'd be pretty nice 3 home runs if we could get that. But those are definitely the top 3 you're looking at today, I think. DK Cash, Squirrel, you're getting a lot of cash questions today. Vientos and Loper Fido, or Young and Meadows?
I'm having trouble placing like the second one.
Josh Jung and Parker Meadows.
Oh. And the first one was Loper Fido and who?
Vientos.
I'd probably go Loper Fido and Vientos.
Dean tried to guess where I was mini golfing on my first date 5 years ago. He says it was at Mars Mini Golf in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. As I'm sure he just Googled Saskatchewan Mini Golf, but it was actually Putt and Bounce, which is part of the Fuddruckers Family Fun Center, where there's an arcade, wall climbing, mini golf, and batting cages, all kinds of other fun things.
And Fuddruckers.
And Fuddruckers there as well. So
underrated place.
That's where we went for our first date. We had an absolute blast. And so we've been there many times since as well. I'm excited for when my daughter's a little bit older and we get to take her there. Other than that, it's super expensive. Favorite 2 pitchers, DK single entry for a 400-person field. So small field, who would be your favorite 2 pitchers for a DK single entry? I'll ask both of you this, starting with you, Cheese.
I mean, obviously, it depends what you want to do with your bats. I would say probably Reagans and Boz.
How about you, Squirrel?
Yeah, it really depends how much money you want to have. Like, I think Bradford and Estes is reasonable and gives you a ton of money. I don't know if I would go that risky, but again, I guess if you're asking me, like, name 2 pitchers I would put into a single entry lineup and have like an average-ish amount of salary left, maybe like Cody Bradford and Robbie Ray.
Thoughts on a Tiger stack for single entry? You just don't need it. Pick somebody better. You can literally almost play anybody on this slate. That's one of like the 4 or 5 teams I probably wouldn't touch for single entry. Cheese, do you feel differently?
No, I wouldn't play them in single entry.
Dean loves that Fuddruckers is still thriving somewhere in the year 2024. It's literally one of the most popular restaurants in Saskatoon here. People love Fuddruckers. Hammer says he looks like he doesn't have to eat the laptop, but it's getting close. Come on, everybody. 97 likes away, and we will get a Hammer 74 will eat a laptop. But we did hit 250 likes, so Spidey Bomb number 3 plus 450 today. Ryan Jeffers for Minnesota batting cleanup. Going back to the Discord for some tournaments. Bill T's playing Boz and Boyd in a GPP today. What do you think, Cheese?
I don't mind it. I'm playing Estes instead of Boyd, but I mean, in general, I don't mind going with 2 cheap pitchers. I think that's fine.
This one's for me from JMVP. FanDuel single entry rank Reagans, Barrios, Baz. I would go Reagans 1, Baz 2, Barrios 3. That's it for questions right now. We have hit everything. Goomba's just added one. Is it better to go cheap stack and expensive secondary stack and one off, or vice versa on a slate like this where the stacks are similar? It does not matter. It does, like, it depends on the players. It depends on the teams. It doesn't really make a difference either way if you go expensive one-offs and a cheap stack, or cheap one-offs and an expensive stack. I will say more often than not, but again, this is totally dependent on the slate and the teams. You'll probably, if you are going cheap one-offs and you feel good about those one-offs, you're probably using the same one-offs as everybody else, like a Will Wagner today at second. If you're going cheap there, like, that'll be a very, very common one, but doesn't matter really either way. Cheese, Michael Garcia or Mark Vientos for DK Cash?
Garcia.
You were frozen on the video, and so I couldn't actually tell if you thinking, froze or were just thinking. But like the video,
I did the robot.
Yeah, the video was doing you dirty there. Map says he's playing Baz and Estes with the top 5 Dodgers today. honestly, I think that's reasonable. I don't think that's crazy. Gone through it a couple times, but Cheese, once again, Beaner wants to know FanDuel GPP 2 favorite pitchers. Is it Baz and Reagan?
Baz and Pavetta for salary reasons.
Baz and Pavetta, and then JMVP wants you to also rank the Reagans, Baz, and Barrios. Is that the same? Reagans, Baz, Barrios?
Yeah, I have no Barrios personally.
Yeah, I don't think I would get to him in JMVP. You don't get all three of us to answer it, but I guess you do since there aren't any questions. Squirrel, rank Baz, Reagans, and Barrios.
I would go Reagan's, Barrios, Baz.
Is having a Cardinal stack in over half of my lineups insane, Cheese?
I really mean this. If you have more than 2 lineups, I think having over half of any stack is wrong on this slate.
Favorite stacks on DK? Squirrel, yours was Philly. Mine is Texas. Cheese, is yours number 1 Texas as well?
Texas.
All right. Looking back at Discord. QQ, can I get Mr. Cheese's thoughts on using Bradford and Martin with a full Philly stack in a DK GPP? I know Mr. Squirrel likes the Phillies.
I mean, I can't get to Davis Martin personally. It's fine if that's just the thing you just have to do to get a Philly stack. It's fine. I personally don't have any Martin.
Would you be fine with the same thing if it was Estes, since he is in the exact same price range?
Yep.
Favorite outfielder, 3,100 or less on FanDuel, Squirrel?
Sorry, an outfielder, 3,100.
100 or less on FanDuel.
It's going to take me a second.
And in the meantime, Cheese, Julio Rodriguez. Yeah, that's a good one. Cheese, favorite outfielder for 4,600 or less on DK Cash.
46. That's Adolis Garcia.
Will the Red Sox be chalky for single entry? No. The only team that'll be somewhat close to chalky today, I think, would be San Francisco, as Cheese mentioned previously. But on such a big slate, it's so spread out. There's not really going to be any chalk and for bats, you got to worry about. Pitching, you got the Ray, the Wheeler, and the Reagans, who will pick up a decent amount on DraftKings. I haven't actually looked at how those 3 stack up on FanDuel, but those 3 will take up a lot on DraftKings. But for bats, I don't think you got to worry about that at all. FanDuel Cash, Bradford or Baz, Squirrel?
Bradford.
DePrince, Chapman or Josh Smith on FanDuel, Cheese?
Chapman.
Is Quintana and Barrios a viable combo? I don't think it's too great today. I think it's on the edge of viable, but personally, I think those are 2 pitchers that are just quite both on the edge. Diego Torres says he's got 2 White Sox, Benintendi and Lee. Is that a stretch? No, not at all. Nothing wrong with grabbing some cheap White Sox today, and those are arguably the best 2 to do it with. It drives Shabazri insane, nuts every time a Canadian says FanDuel. Do I say FanDuel? I thought I said FanDuel.
No.
Into the FanDuel Live final. I know it's FanDuel. Thoughts on Yordan Alvarez, one of the best spend-ups on the slate. Favorite shortstop, 4,700 or less on DraftKings. Cheese?
47. Is that Adames off the top of my head? Is he 47?
Let's see.
Yeah, Adames.
Yeah, you got Adames, Pena, David Hamilton, that range. It's not great outside of Adames. There you go. Favorite cheap shortstop on DraftKings, Squirrel?
Favorite cheap shortstop. Yeah, Junior Caminero.
All right, I think that'll do it for all the questions. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. We're about 30 seconds away from lock. Don't forget to tune in to the PGA show immediately after us with Noto, with STL. Spidey Bomb recap. We got Burleson, we got Jeffers, we got Gunnar Henderson and Will Wagner. Thank you so much for tuning in today, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow morning for more MLB Crunch Time. On behalf of myself, Squirrel, Cheese, Steve behind the scenes, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you later. Peace.